we had somebody, a minister called John Michuki, who took over the Ministry of Transport and Communication, and a chaotic and unmanageable industry called the matatu industry. He came in, he said, excuse me, we have got to have law and order, and this is what we are going to follow. And anybody who doesn't cope, you are in trouble. He brought law, order, discipline, and people changed. My friend, this country changed, the transport industry changed, because we had somebody who knew what he wanted, he made the rules, and he put his foot down that is going to be like this. And it happened. Which means we just need the right persons leading this country. And corruption. Yet a hospital should have the best of facilities. Every modern facility, name it, whether it is the hyper knife, you know, doing surgery with laser therapy, whether all manner of gadgets and instruments for making neurological diagnosis. Any diagnostic facility should be available at Kenyatta National Hospital. We don't have that. Issue. You can think, you can sit down, talk, plan, budget, forward it to the Ministry of Health, forward it to Treasury. You are lucky to get, at most, even 50% of what you ask. You have patients who, they are sick. You look at somebody like this and you sympathize with them. They can't even afford the 650 consultation, leave alone going to a private doctor or a private hospital. And then you prescribe the list of 4 or 5 drugs. And he goes to the pharmacy and is being asked for 3,000. This man who can't even afford 650, he goes home without treatment. Our education system needs to review and stop brainwashing our children that life is a meaningless accident, so that young people have no hope. They don't know. They have lost direction. They are confused, disoriented. That's why we have homosexuality, lesbianism, and all manner of sexual perversion. People are unable to even appreciate the basic facts which you are taught in class, that the anus is made for passing stool, not for sex. Every organ and part of the body has a purpose. Your heart, your lungs, your eyes, your ears, everything has a reason. How is it that simple, basic biology, common sense, and reason, we don't see it? We are taught wrongly in school.
Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this exclusive episode. Definitely, my name is Evan Sokenyi. Such a pleasure to always have you on board. Well, this fine evening, I have decided to have a conversation with one of the best neurologists in this country. Of course, he's a doctor who is actually based at the Kenyatta National Hospital as well as the University of Nairobi. I'm definitely talking about Dr. Semion Ochanda Mbuya. Daktari, how are you?
I'm fine.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yes.
Kindly, I don't want to actually do the introduction for you in as much as I've already done that, but kindly tell us who you are and perhaps tell us how has the journey been? How did you find yourself in this position right now?
Well, as you've already told the viewers, I'm Dr. Semion Ochanda Mbuya.
Yes.
I'm a lecturer at the University of Nairobi Medical School at Kenyatta Hospital.
Okay.
So by definition, I'm a lecturer, but as is the case with the lecturer clinicians, we teach in class, we teach in the ward, in the clinics, we teach by practicals. Yes, so that is my work.
Okay.
I've been with the University of Nairobi since 1997.
Okay.
When I joined the medical school in the Department of Clinical Pharmacology. But now we are reorganized into Department of Clinical Medicine and Therapeutics. By the then College of Health Sciences, now Faculty of Health Sciences. Yes. So my unit, my department is one of the biggest departments.
Okay.
And my unit, clinical pharmacology, is not that big. But basically, we teach our medical students, train our doctors on pharmacology, which is the study of drugs and drugs use in the treatment of disease. That's what clinical pharmacology is. Okay, use of drugs in the treatment of disease. So that is what I teach. But other than that, I also teach internal medicine to all grades of our students, from undergraduates to postgraduates. And I have my ward where I work. From the ward you run the clinics and you see patients. So I am an internal medicine specialist, subspecialized in neurology. Neurology is the study of the brain, cord and nerves. That is the nervous system. Okay, like with all branches of internal medicine, yes, some people specialized in neurology. Okay, just like cardiologists, pulmonologists, nephrologists, every system. Every system. Yes.
Well, that's a little bit interesting, Dr.
So other than that, I am the executive director of ICPA Kenya, the International Commission for the Prevention of Alcoholism and Drug Dependency, an NGO helping this country and various institutions to fight alcoholism and drug abuse. And on top of all that, I am a Christian, and I believe in God. And in all my work, God receives the honor and the glory.
Definitely. That's a good, pretty good introduction, Dr. But then, before we get there, somebody would ask, how has your journey been? How did you find yourself here? Maybe you tell us about your background, your bringing, your home, and all that.
I come from a family, a big family. My father was a polygamist with 5 wives. My mother is the first wife, and of her children, I am the fourth born.
In which part of the country?
I come from a place called Kamagambo. You better know Rongo, where Rongo University is. That is within Kamagambo locality. Many others know about Kamagambo College and Adventism. And that's where I come from, and so that's my home area. So I grew up in this family. Went to the local primary school, Rakwaro Primary School. Later shifted to do my CP in another school in Oyugis area called Ober Primary School. And then for Form 1 and 2 I went to one school, Kuoyo Kotieno, again around Oyugis. From there, I moved to Rapoge High School for Form 3 and Form 4. And from there, I moved to St. Patrick's High School, E10, where I did my A-levels. That was way back in 1978. At E10, E10 was one of the best schools academically and sports-wise, so it was one of the top schools in the country. My class, we did well. I think I had 9 people in joining the medical school in the same year. And one of the interesting things of my life is that as I was in secondary school, I was good. I was an all-round student, good in everything. Many thought I would be an engineer, and that's actually what I intended to be. Do maths, physics, chemistry in A-levels, so that you do civil engineering or some engineering at the university. But God directed otherwise. What I mean is that when I joined A-levels, I went to do maths, physics, chemistry. But God sent somebody to move me to medicine. I was contemplating between 2 subjects, 2 professions, being an engineer and being a doctor. But I said, no, I think I'm good in maths, physics, and chemistry. This is where I am. And everybody agrees. Relatives and friends. So that's what I went to do. But when the lecture started, I had a fresh graduate from Ireland. Actually was a Dutchman. Yes, most of the lecturers, the teachers were Irish, but this one was a Dutchman, and he didn't know English very well, and he was teaching us physics and maths. So as he was teaching, now he was teaching English in Dutch. In the Dutch accent. I could hardly get what he's saying. So I sat there in that class being taught physics. Thank God maths was being taught by 3 different people. So even if you missed what he was teaching, you could still get what others were teaching. 2 weeks I sat in that class. He would just come, the first chapter of the Introduction to Physics in A levels by Parker. The introduction is introductory chapter is on numerical analysis and integration, and I would sit there and epsilon theta. I could hardly get anything this teacher was teaching. I said, "Oh my! If this is the teacher who is going to teach me, I've already failed." And A level is only 2 years. No, I'm changing. I just took my desk one day, moved to the biology class, said, "No, I'm going to do medicine, forget engineering." And ever since I joined biology class and I decided to do medicine, I'm just glad I went there. I say God helped me to be where I wanted to be.
Okay.
I love medicine. I enjoy it, and it's my hobby.
Okay.
Just to see people get well, meet a patient in coma or very sick near to death, treat. And the next time you meet on the street, somebody happy, jolly, greeting you and even ready to buy you lunch, saying, "Hi, Doctor." It's an experience, it's a joy, it's a pleasure.
Okay. So,
I joined the medical school. I dragged a little my years with the 2 many strikes. We dragged a little in an undergraduate, finished, and then came back for postgraduate. I finished in 1995.
That is at the University of Nairobi?
University of Nairobi still. After that, I did a few courses here and there in neurology, and then joined the university, and I have been there since then.
Oh, okay. You didn't leave the country?
This country, for some small trainings. I was in Israel.
Okay.
I've been to other countries, small trainings here and there.
Okay.
Yes.
What actually motivated you? Because I see a number of doctors who would rather prefer to stick with the practicing in the hospitals and just being there in the medical field without necessarily getting back to class. What brought you back to the classroom?
I think it's just natural. So there are interests you just find yourself born with. Okay, I've always loved teaching. Even before joining the university, that 1 year, we were, after A levels, you do exams in November. Results come out in February, March. Then you join university September. All that time, about 1 year I was teaching, and I enjoyed doing that in my old school, Rapogi. During one of the longest university strikes after the August 1 attempted coup of the Moi government, 1982. Yes, we were out for 14 months.
Without being
out of school. The university was closed for 14 months. I was just busy enjoying teaching. So when I finished the medical school, number one thing, I really loved surgery. I wanted to be a surgeon, but I had a problem, a chronic back problem. And I knew, oh no, surgery. You're going to stand in theater the whole day and night with this bad back of mine. I said, no, I'm doing internal medicine. And once I joined internal medicine, my interests were directed to neurology because of the subject I picked to do my dissertation on, peripheral neuropathies. So this stimulated me to just, stick there, and I said, no, this is what I like.
Okay.
I'll do neurology as my subspecialty. So it was really interest, something you love to do, to teach. Yes.
That is actually what brought you here.
You love to practice medicine, you love to teach. Your direction is in the medical school.
Okay.
What especially impressed me about choosing medicine is that I was surrounded by, being a big family, surrounded by many illnesses. People sick, complaining, and we hardly have qualified medical personnel from my home, my place. I said, it would be a good idea to be able to help these poor people.
Okay. I actually come from around the same place that you're talking about. It's just that I didn't get a chance to go to Rapogi, but I went to Kanga. Either way.
Yeah, Kanga is now nearer home.
Yeah,
it's
nearer
in Kamagambo.
home. Now, here, let's get it here. Then definitely, you've told me that you are a neurologist. I understand the fact that very few of them are in this country. Where do you think we...
Yeah, we have very few neurologists in this country. One contributing factor is that when you finish medicine, the government and everybody loves to make us work and overwork, but pay you very little or nothing.
Okay.
The mentality we have is free services. People come to you, they see you, but they don't remember you are working to pay you. So you getting patient fees from patients is a challenge, because people will just feel now medicine should be treated free.
So that's the problem.
So now, both in government and in practice, therefore, you find doctors have to really go extra hard, work extra hard to make ends meet. One of the unfortunate things about being a medic is society expects too much from us. Once you mention you are a doctor, the image people have of you is somebody rich and able, driving a big car, living in a big house, spending large. This is a fallacy. I don't know where that comes from. Just because a few of us rich. But the same thing in any profession, even lawyers. There are lawyers who are stinking rich. But not every lawyer is rich. Engineers, there are those who are stinking rich. So even in medicine, those who are stinking rich, because in life, it's not just your career. There are other things people do to make you wealthy. So not necessarily every doctor will be healthy. I remember the time I finished internship and I was a medical officer working in Nairobi at National Youth Service, and I went to solicit for drugs for a medical camp from one of the drug manufacturers. And I asked to go in and see a manager. And I told the watchman, asked me, who are you? What do you want to see? Who do you want to see? I say, where are you? I said, I'm Dr. Ochanda. I am going to see the drugs, the sales manager of some drugs. Said, you are a doctor? Because I was not wearing a suit, I was on my foot, and I was on foot, and so this watchman couldn't believe I'm a doctor, because a doctor on foot, not wearing a suit, how can you be? I was held at the gate. The image a watchman has of a doctor, somebody driving a good, nice, brand new car in a suit, body shining, looking good. But here comes an ordinary person walking. You just finished the internship, just a few months, and people expect you to be rich already. So what is this societal attitude? So that mentality society has towards us. You may make doctors want to work extra hard to measure up, lest people lose respect for you, saying, this one is a hopeless doctor. So you find most of us doctors, you'll work with the government, but after 5, you have some kiosk, some clinic somewhere. You go see a few patients, at least make ends meet. Now, for that reason, most of us, when we finish, you want to do a subspecialty where you can make a reasonable amount of income. Neurology is not one of them. Most other professions, you do invasive procedures, which are costly. So you charge and you get some good income. Okay, take for example our friends the surgeons. Okay, we work with the government, but after work, extra time, you operate, and one operation may be costly. You need therefore to do just a few surgeries in a month, and you are able to make ends meet. But now in neurology, you don't have those invasive procedures. All you have is the consultation fees. And people, that is not much.
And that actually brings me to the question, as a neurologist,
yes.
What do you do? What does your work entail? Which kind of actually ailments can you actually diagnose and perhaps treat as a neurologist?
As a neurologist, I'm purely a clinician. Patients with brain, nerves, cord problems, they come to me. I take their history, examine them, send them for tests, make a diagnosis, put them on a treatment program. That's practically what I do. See people, listen to them, examine them, do a few tests to confirm what you suspect, make a diagnosis, put a patient on treatment, follow them up till they are well. That's practically what I do. The few tests I would do as a neurologist include EEGs, but we leave that to our technicians to do. Because they are time consuming, and as a doctor you don't have that much time to sit in an EEG lab doing an EEG for an hour. We hardly have that time. The other investigative test as could do as a neurology is electromyography, EMG. But many times we let our technicians do it, and then we just check what they have done and report. Okay. And so there are hardly any invasive procedures. If you like it, you do lumbar punctures, that's taking fluid from the spine. But even those we leave to our medical officers to do. I mean, why should I spend time doing that when I have my junior doctors who can do it? I'm better off doing other things. Sometimes we go to theater to do brain monitoring during surgery. Okay, that one would pay, but we don't do much of it here.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you ever been attached to Mathare National Referral Hospital?
Well, during the training, but I'm a physician, so I don't go to Mathare.
So your work does not actually entail what is taking place at
unless
Mathare.
they have a complication, in which case I can be called, or they can send over to Kenyatta, to the neurology clinic to be seen. Yes.
Okay. In the wake of, in the recent past, definitely we've had a number of cases of young people committing suicide, young people suffering from mental health issues. Actually, and this raises a lot of questions in our general public. What do you really think is happening with the young people in this country?
It is a sorry state. It's something I'm always feeling bad when I talk about, because to my students, to my colleagues, to this country, I'm always talking about alcohol abuse and drug abuse. It's a rampant problem, and it is barely given the attention that is necessary.
Okay.
We have raised a generation which have been taught that life is a meaningless accident. I say to this day, the most stupid thing I was ever taught in class is that life is a meaningless accident. There is no God. You're just a product of chance chemical reactions, chance mutations, and natural selection process, which ends up resulting in a gradual evolution of living organisms, from the smallest animals, bacteria, viruses, fungus, to planktons, to worms, to other invertebrates, then eventually to vertebrates, and from fish, reptiles, birds, and eventually apes, mammals, mammals, and then apes, and then human beings. This is a stupid story. Because you look at every fact of chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics. It's all nonsense to think like that. The truth is, the testimony of science is that life is designed and created by a loving, supernatural person we call God, whose knowledge, understanding, and power is far beyond our comprehension. We cannot even begin to comprehend him. Let me give you an example. To produce just one protein like insulin hormone that controls the metabolism of sugar in the body. The hormone insulin has got 131 amino acids. If you were to produce that hormone by accident, out of the 131 amino acids in the polypeptide chain of this hormone, what is the probability that you are going to place the amino acid sequences in the correct order? Because that hormone must be exact. If you vary the sequence of amino acids even one position, you have a problem, a dysfunctional hormone. And the dysfunctional hormone will give you diabetes. And with diabetes, you are not surviving. If it was in the early stages of evolution, when human beings, apes, they had no idea these things were just by accident, no animal would survive without insulin. This hormone is produced in its exact order, and that order is determined by genetically coded genes and programs, which starts with the formation of a gene, a part of DNA that determines the structure of a protein. So you need the DNA. From the DNA you do transcription, producing a messenger RNA. From the messenger RNA you carry it to the cytoplasm of the living cell. Then it has got to bind on ribosomal transfer RNA, ribosomal RNA. Now, then at the ribosomal RNA, you need transfer RNA to bind to the messenger RNA to join the amino acids. Each of the transfer RNAs has got attached to it a specific amino acid according to the codon on the transfer RNA and on the messenger RNA. And then all of these processes are initiation and progression by an enzyme which is already determined by your genes. And at the end, when the assembly of the protein is through, then the secondary, tertiary structure of this hormone must be exact. And that is why you must have the exact sequence of amino acids. Not only that, after it is produced, it is not just going to work anyhow. It has got a specific receptor determined by your DNA, your genetic, your genes. So everything in this system is determined. You cannot do without DNA. You cannot do with a specific genetic code which prescribes the hormones, the enzymes, everything, the receptors, the transport proteins, the breakdown proteins. Now, my friend, if you thought that was to happen by chance, it actually is not possible. The probability that that can happen is something like 1 in 10 to the power of 200 million. The limit of reality is 1 in 10 to the power of 50. That is, the probability that an event can take place on its own accidentally without a determination, somebody external force doing it. If the probability is less than 1 in 10 to the power of 50, it is meaningless. It is not possible to be accidental. Now, just this one hormone, for you to produce it, the probability is 1 in 10 to the power of over 1 million. In other words, science is showing us that we are creatures. The generation of today being brought up with a false philosophy and ideology of life, that life is a meaningless accident. Yet, all the study of physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics show us the opposite. In other words, scientists are not being scientific, ungodly scientists. And for me as a Christian, I understand. Because all this is the work of supernatural forces of evil. The devil and his host of evil angels who have power to influence the minds of people in the world to deny truth and reality. And the result of denying truth and reality is hopelessness. Young people grow up, life is meaningless and hopeless. Like they say, for a young man, life is beer and nyama choma, music and women. That's all there is to life. So if you miss those, life is meaningless and not worth living. But that is an unfortunate mentality. The truth is, life does have meaning and purpose. So young people have lost meaning in life. So they resort to drinking and stimulating themselves with all manner of drugs to get artificial happiness. You know, when you are drunk, all drugs of abuse, including alcohol, the reason we take them is the false happiness called euphoria. This pathological happiness they produce in us. That's why you drink. To get tipsy, you feel stimulated and, you know, released from the anxieties and stresses of life. Okay, that's why people take drugs. And why are these young people looking for artificial happiness? Why not have natural happiness? As creatures, as living people, human beings created in the image of God, sadness, happiness, anger, anxiety, they are natural emotions that are there and should just be brought under control. We shouldn't have to resort to drugs. to cool them down, to quench them, to produce artificial states of happiness. So the abuse of drugs, the hopelessness, the reason young people are committing suicide in droves is because life has been reduced to something meaningless and hopeless. They do not know, they are not aware of the real truth that human beings are created in the image of God, and God has a purpose for this life. See, the issue, the truth is, when God created this earth, the heavens, the seas, and everything in them, everything was in perfection. And man was in perfect harmony with God, with the angels, with animals, with nature. But the moment the devil stepped in and brought sin, everything broke. So now between us and God, we are not in touch. We read in the Bible that before sin, God would come every day, have a talk, spend time with Adam and Eve. But one day when they sinned, when they came, God came, they were running away. Then now the animals, a lion will kill you, not because he wants to eat you, but because he is afraid if he doesn't kill you, you will kill it or take away his baby. So the lion will attack you and kill you. The buffalo will not spare you either, and all the other animals. There is enmity between us and animals and nature, us and God, us and each other. Adam and Eve, before sin, there was perfect peace, harmony, love, and unity. The moment sin came, now they were blaming each other. Adam blaming Eve, Eve blaming other things. So life is in a mess. And what happened in brief is, although sin came and damaged everything God had made, the peace, the unity, the happiness that was there, God did not leave us to ourselves. God has a plan. And we read in the Bible, despite these 6,000 years of sin, we read in the last book of the Bible, the prophet telling us that I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The old heaven and the old earth had passed away and the sea was no more. And I saw the new city, Jerusalem, coming out of God from heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne of God saying, Behold, the dwelling of God is now with man. He will live with them, he will dwell with them, and be with them, then they shall be his people. And he shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. There shall be no more death, no sorrow, no crying or mourning, no more pain, because I make all things new. And he told the prophet, Write, these words are true and faithful. I make all things new. The old will be forgotten, will not even come to mind. So we were created. We are here for 6,000 years in pain, suffering, meaninglessness. But at the end, God is going to rectify everything and bring down back life as it is. We were not meant to die. Death is a stranger. That's why no matter how religious, whether you're a pastor or a bishop, when death comes, it is a strange thing. It's not welcome. Because it is not meant to be there. We are not meant to die. We are meant to live. And God has a program of resuscitating, bringing back all humanity back to Eden, like we were before sin. Now, if young people knew the truth about life and where we are going, for me as a Christian, I don't need beer to be happy. I don't need any chemical to give artificial happiness. Just having a normal relationship with God gives me enough joy, peace, and contentment. So much so that even when I'm suffering in sickness and in pain, I'm troubled, robbed, or something happened, they are there. I will be in sad, but I am able to contain it, and I know, because I know we live in a sinful, wicked world, and this is just normal. I'm trying to say that when you understand the real meaning of life, that God himself left heaven, came to this earth in the form of a human being to reconcile us with God. And that is the only means by which sin, which is the problem, will be removed. The blood of Jesus shed for us, through which we can obtain forgiveness and salvation and recreation. We are told that when Jesus comes back, this second time, not when he came as a helpless baby, this time as he really is, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, there will be chaos. This earth will be burned to nothing. The sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, the whole Milky Way galaxy, everything will be destroyed and recreated afresh. This time to a far better state than even what was done.
So are you trying to say that the young people of this country,
they don't have a view, they don't have the correct understanding of what life is all about. This is what I'm trying to say. We have been brought up in a system of lies. Science has been abused. We are not following the evidence where the scientific evidence leads. And so life is meaningless and hopeless, and as a result, alcohol, bangi, miraa, heroin, cocaine, because that's what gives them pleasure. Relationship with God, with God and with fellow human beings, which brings peace, joy, contentment, is not there. Life has been made meaningless and useless, and that's why we have so much corruption, because we have people who are not aware that in this life you are accountable to the Creator. You can lie, you can cheat, you can take bribes and destroy the economy of this country, but there's somebody you're going to answer to. If they knew that, they would be less having a less tendency to lie, to cheat, to steal, to engage in corruption. So we have a wrong view, understanding, and mentality towards life. The main thing in medicine, as medics, the major thing in medicine for our health, the health of this country and the whole world, is preventive medicine. Living a lifestyle that promotes good health and prevents disease. Definitely that kind of life does not involve smoking tobacco, drinking alcohol, or taking other drugs of abuse. Live free, a well-balanced life with a correct relationship with our fellow human beings and with God. This is what will improve our health. And that's why the Bible says that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Okay? And knowledge of God is wisdom indeed, because by me your days will be multiplied. In Proverbs 3 tells us, my son, forget not my law, but keep it in your heart, for it will give you peace, length of days. This is what the Word of God tells us. Yes. So living right, avoiding practices that bring disease and health, bring disease and death. Okay. This really should be the main thrust of medicine, emphasizing preventive medicine. Avoid things that destroy, damage health, and just live a normal life.
Okay. So we are here, Dr. A number of cases of suicide, especially by the young people, are on the rise because the mental health of the young people of this country is in question. What's the way out? How can we then solve this problem so that we actually reduce the number of cases that we witness on perhaps on a yearly basis or a monthly basis? We hear of a young person has committed suicide over there. Several young people are suffering. How then do we get out of this menace?
We then need to go back to the drawing board and teach our young people correctly the meaning of life, the right attitude towards life. You finish school, you have no job, you are frustrated. And some people, the frustration is so much, they just take their life. When they remember how much their parents have had to spend, to sacrifice, to take them to school with the encouragement, my son, work hard. When you finish, you will be able to get a job, bring back money, and be able to help us. They sold land, cattle, everything to take you to school. And at the end of it, you are well educated, you have a university degree, but no job. It is frustrating. It's frustrating. But if you have a correct mentality, attitude towards life and towards God, you will never lose hope, because you know the little things that you need here and there, God will provide. You know God will provide. If He takes care of animals which don't farm, don't work, and they live, how about you who is created in His image? So we need to give young people hope, that there is hope in life, no matter how much hopeless life looks to you. Don't give up. Just keep at it. A solution will come. So our people need to be taught correctly. They need to be given the right attitudes and mentality towards life, to be given hope that there is always something, so you don't give up and take away your life. You take away your life, so what?
Okay.
It is selfishness. Actually, suicide is selfishness. And in my culture, Luo, if you commit suicide, if I am the first person to find you hanging there with a rope, I will not just bring the body down. I will first take a kiboko and chop you properly for bewitching me. How do you bewitch me by committing suicide?
Okay.
Because suicide is stupid. It's selfishness. You are running away from responsibility.
Well, let's wait and see what actually unfolds for a number of them. But then, of course,
because really, that is really the solution is psychotherapy, right attitude and mentality, correct understanding of life and the meaning of life. This is what will help our young people to have hope, and even as they search for a job, for an income, eventually it will come. But our young people need to change mentality that towards work. You know, when you are in school, you have this attitude, mentality that when I finish, collar job, white collar job. You are in office with a secretary, with a telephone, and you're a boss. That's what some people in school, they have their mentality, that attitude towards life. Life is not like that. It takes a long time to be up there where you have an office of your own. When you finish school, be ready to do anything that brings bread to the table, even if it is brushing people's shoes, even if it's sweeping the compound, even if it is doing cleaning, even if it's going to the cafeteria to serve as a waiter. Don't sit back doing nothing, complaining you have no job. Do something. Even if you get 100 shillings a day, you can walk for miles, you will not get it. Change. Young people need to change their attitude towards life and towards work. Every good work done, there's value in it. I have many testimonies of young people who finished university and they had no job and started work as a watchman. But as time goes, an opportunity opens up and you are promoted and you become a manager and you just move up the ladder. So don't despise any job. Even if you have to work as a house manager, a maid, do it. It's better than sitting back and asking for bus fare from your mother, your father. It is wrong. Once you're above 18 years, find a way of surviving. Your parents have the responsibility of bringing you up, feeding, clothing you, and taking you to school until you're an adult. Once you're an adult, find your way. Don't despise. Do something as you look for something better. This is the attitude. I have been to the US many times, and this is the life the Americans live. When students, once they are 18, nobody goes depending on his mother for small things here. Everybody does some locum, whether it is cleaning, waiting in a shopkeeper waiting, or in a hotel, or being a watchman. People work.
At least you get.
And thank God the economic situation is so good that even those small jobs is enough to give you enough for food and clothes and a place to live. And even some drive cars. Some of our people from here in the US, they come back here loaded with money. You think they're doing a big job. No, they're just watchmen and waiters.
This is a different case in our country here.
So I know here it pays very little. But at least it's better than nothing. Just do it with a clean heart and pray and hope God will open a way. But please don't sit back and do nothing and complain that I've gone to school and nobody's giving me a job. That will not help you.
Okay, Doctor. Let me take you back a little bit to your line of duty and line of specialization. What's the biggest challenge that you faced as a neurologist?
The biggest challenge I face, I hope my boss doesn't hear this. Availability of facilities for proper diagnosis and availability of drugs. That has been the biggest challenge. Kenyatta National Hospital is a national teaching referral hospital, the first of its kind in this country, from which all the medics in this country of my age and for many generations behind me, they have gone through that medical school. They have gone through the teaching in Kenyatta Hospital. Kenyatta Hospital should have the best of facilities. Every modern facility, name it, whether it is the hyper knife, doing surgery with laser therapy, whether all manner of gadgets and instruments for making neurological diagnosis. Any diagnostic facility should be available at Kenyatta National Hospital. We don't have that. Issue, you can think, you can sit down, talk, plan, budget, forward it to the Ministry of Health, forward it to Treasury. You are lucky to get at most even 50% of what you ask. So government funding for the management of the hospitals. You prescribe drugs. Your patients, the patients you see in the hospital, these are people who, even that consultation fees of $650 for a long time, now it is $1250. You have patients who, they are sick. You look at somebody like this and you sympathize with them. They can't even afford the $650 consultation, leave alone going to a private doctor or a private hospital. And then you prescribe a list of 4 or 5 drugs. And he goes to the pharmacy and is being asked for 3,000. This man who can't even afford $650, he goes home without treatment. So we have many patients who can't afford. And the government hospitals they come to don't have drugs. Down in my home place, you get dispensaries. If drugs come, they are there for the first 1 week. The rest of the month, there is nothing. For a lab test, you are sent outside the hospital. After that, you even come with your prescription. And then they are sent for drugs that maybe you get Panadol. But even Panadol will get finished within the first 1.5 weeks of the month when the supplies come. Then now they have to go buy. What happens when you don't have, as is the case in almost half of the cases? So lack of budgeting, financing of health in this country is our chief problem. We are not being sincere, we are not being truthful, we are not funding health, and yet we expect superb health. I feel bad when I see government officers talking loftily of, like right now, the social help program of once everybody contributes money, the high amount the government is asking for, plenty of money will be there. I hope it works.
Doctor, what's your final word as we wind up this show?
My final word is that for me, I'm grateful to God for the opportunity to be trained and to work as a doctor. It's a job I love. I thank God every day for the opportunity to serve. My young people, our education system needs to give the right vision and mission. We need to have the right vision and mission. We need to teach the young people correctly. There are no moral values without correct religion, without the fear of God. Education without religion only breeds a generation of clever devils. You give them all the physics and they use it to hack banks and all government services. They use the physics to make bombs and guns to kill fellow human beings. We don't, without values, attitude, value of life, and value of human being, appreciating the reality of life, that our life we don't create ourselves. We are created, and we ought to be grateful to the Creator who gave us life. I didn't make myself. I found myself here, created man. We should be gratefulness to the Creator, appreciation of fellow human beings, and correct attitude towards life. Is what will change this country. Our education system needs to review and stop brainwashing our children that life is a meaningless accident, so that young people have no hope. They don't know. They have lost direction. They are confused, disoriented. That's why we have homosexuality, lesbianism, and all manner of sexual perversion. People are unable to even appreciate the basic facts which you are taught in class, that the anus is made for passing stool, not for sex. Every organ and part of the body has a purpose. Your heart, your lungs, your eyes, your ears, everything has a reason. How is it that simple, basic biology, common sense, and reason, we don't see it? We are taught wrongly in school. We need to change. And there is hope for this country.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there has been a nice conversation with Dr. Semion Ochanda Mbuya here. Of course, I've told you he's one of the few neurologists whom we have in this country. He's based at Kenyatta National Hospital there and teaching at the University of Nairobi, of course, School of Medicine there. And we've had this conversation with him here concerning a number of issues in the health sector and the kind of menace that we're witnessing among our young people right now, where number of people, the young people here, losing their lives to suicide and all manner of things here. Kindly weigh on this conversation. Tell us what you think. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okenye.